Hey, college wrestling fans, it's JT1Wrestle here, and we've got a great guest today. Please welcome to the show the head coach of the University of Wisconsin Lacrosse, Dave Malecek.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Well, Dave, the first question I want to ask you is last year you guys had an extremely successful year, went 11 and 2 in duels, third at the Pete Wilson. You guys won team titles at both the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference as well as Regional 7, and you guys ended up finishing fifth in the D3 Nation. Talk about what led to such a successful year for Eagle Wrestling.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, for us, our success, we felt pretty good about our guys. We felt very confident about what we had returning. I think it was a group of seniors that really kind of changed the culture and really changed the outlook of this crew. I've been doing this as my 20th year here at UWL, and I'd say this group out of any of them, I mean, it's not, you can't have favorites, right? But you can really see what this group brought and what they brought to the table. And this group of seniors, Ben Kopczynski and Mike Douglas, Tyler Gable, Sam Lorenz, these guys really just brought the love of wrestling and brought a culture to UWL that they really wanted to be good. And I think all the guys that have come through really wanted to be good, but these guys really put the time and energy and effort in and really believed it. And you listed off those stats, and I kind of just got a smile to my face when I was thinking about we had a great year, but your year is determined on how you do on the last 2 days of the season. You could have you could have the most amazing season all year long and then not wrestle very well at the very end. And that's what people remember. And so through our counseling sessions, I say in our therapy here at UWL over this past year, we've really had to think about all the positives that we did have. And you mentioned some of those. And the third at Pete Wilson, that's with almost all of our backups. We took only a couple starters, and our backup guys got a great opportunity because I know that's one of your follow-up questions too about what we have coming back this year. We had some young men that got an opportunity to get in the lineup and wrestle at a great tournament at Wheaton College, the Pete Wilson Invite. We also won our conference championship. We always want to win that in the great state of Wisconsin. We wanted to win that. And then we won regionals for the first time. Region 7, Augsburg had won that since the invention of it, probably since 20 years BC. They've won all those region tournaments. We finally beat them at their home place. Guys wrestled very well and total team effort and qualified 9 guys for the NCAA championships. And then we just didn't wrestle very good. I mean, we are not backing away from that. We're not shying away from it. We're not ignoring it. We did not wrestle very well. And so you got a lot of soul searching and things that you got to think about and work on because you can't win the national tournament when you only win 2 of your 9 matches first round. I mean, we did not wrestle very well. The guys, and it's not the guys' fault. As coaches, we've got to be better. We got to have them ready to go, and there's so many little things that we could have done differently. We didn't, and in the end, you still got to win matches. And so that's a really long answer to your first question, but man, we had a great year. We won some big time duels. We got beat at national duels. Our only 2 losses were to Augsburg. I felt good getting that back at the region 7. And then getting 50 at the NCAA is not what we planned on, is not what we thought we'd do. But man, we had 4 All-Americans at NCAA champ. Marcus Orlandoni became our 24th NCAA champ. I think he's my 15th one that I've actually got to coach and be in the corner for. So man, we had a great year.
And you spoke earlier about the 9 NCAA Division III qualifiers you had. I mean, there's only 10 wrestlers on a squad, so 9 out of 10 wrestlers qualified, and then Josh Churba was
Yep.
one, that dreaded fourth place finish, at the regionals. So let's talk a little bit about that real quick.
Sure.
NCAA Division III wrestling is, in my opinion, without a doubt, the toughest level of wrestling to qualify for the national tournament because you only have 18, or excuse me, we went up a little bit. You only have 21 kids out of a possible 126 kids. That's a
Mhm.
very small percentage. And yet you guys were able to have 9 of 10 of your wrestlers finish in the top 3. That's very difficult to do. Talk to me a little bit about the game plan going in and how do you get your wrestlers physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared, to finish first, second, or third at regionals?
Yeah, that's a great question, and as I've gotten older now and being one of the elder statesmen of all these D3 coaches, like I really, it is. Division three, like I love it. I wrestled Division one at Northern Iowa, just absolutely love Division one, and then getting a chance to coach Division three has just been a dream come true, and being around these guys. But man, I think we have it so backwards. Like it's just frustrating. We have 120 plus schools, and we get 21 qualifiers. It makes no sense. It just makes absolutely no sense. And I know I'll get a little feedback on this, but I don't care. It's time we make some changes for these young athletes. Student athletes get that experience to qualify for the national championship. There's no reason why we shouldn't have 33 athletes in every bracket. We have double the number of teams that Division One does, but we're not going to get in that whole can of that whole story. But I just tell you, like it was a you asked about like things that we did. I feel like we have a very good system in place that starts right when school starts, and really it's year round. I think our guys were in good, really good physical shape. And also I thought they were very good mental space. They were emotionally where they needed to be, and we knew going into it we're going to be a battle at Region 7. I think there's a lot of good, tough regions, but we only can control our region, and great teams in there, obviously, and quality wrestlers. But I think the biggest thing that we did is we kept talking about the improvement that we made from the time November when we competed to December. We made small gains in December. I really felt like we made some great gains in January. But probably our most impressive month was February, and what we were doing with our guys, training wise, rest wise, recovery wise, technical. Our assistant coaches do an amazing job, and it all starts with my assistant Zach Cook. Just does an amazing job with our guys and really input and feedback on our guys of where they need to be and things they need to improve on. And then all these other little things that I felt like this team did, but it all started as the first question you asked about our team was as those older guys, the culture they brought and the group that they were with the seniors of the expectations of winning, the expectations of being a great young man, the expectations of being the best person you can, and just one day at a time, one match at a time, 30 seconds at a time, and just loving the sport of wrestling. And sometimes when you can love that sport of wrestling, it's going to love you back. And they did. They loved being around each other. And people ask me all the time about that team. Going into regionals is probably one of the most fun tournaments and conference in that month of February tournament time. One of the most fun I've had with this group was they're just so easy to travel with. And the way to explain them, they're just a bunch of good dudes. And they keep me young, and they're just fun to be around.
You know,
So I want to circle back to what you said, and I want to make sure I give this proper justice. Is that Josh Cherba fought his ass off? I mean, I don't care what anybody says. He was in a great bracket. He lost to a returning All-American for third and fourth, was winning the match, ended up getting caught and pinned. Kudos to the young man that beat him. He got beat, and he gave it everything he had. Josh was never been a starter and never been in our lineup. Got a chance to be in our lineup, was 500, and we just kept getting better every week. And that young man did everything we asked of him. And he, at the banquet at the end of the year, he said, I gave it everything I had, and I feel really good about it. And that's all we ask. There's only 10 guys, JD, that leave the national tournament feeling really good. And there's only, those guys and 30 guys that leave our regionals that feel really good. And so he wasn't one of those guys, but he felt like he gave it everything he had. And Josh, that'd been awesome to have all 10. I'd never had that in my 20 years here at UWL, but we had a good run.
now you're speaking about Josh Churba, and you also use the term a lot of good guys. And you did, as you were saying earlier, you guys had a lot of great seniors this year. We had Tyler Gable, Marcus Orlandoni. Both of those guys. Gable was a two-time All-American. Orlandoni ended his career as a national champion.
Yep.
We also had two-time All-American Ben Kozinski. And
Yep.
then also he didn't do as well this year as what we would have hoped, but we also have another two-time All-American, Mike Douglas.
Yep.
Talk about this group of seniors and what they meant to your program.
Man, I kind of get emotional sometimes talking about them because they really changed the. We had a really good culture before they got here. They just took it to a whole nother level, and you got close with those guys, and you would do anything. Ben Kopchinski's getting married this summer. Mike Douglas just took a teaching job. He's going to be on our coaching staff. Tyler Gable, they're opening a club in town. He's going to be on coaching staff. But those Sam Lorenz just got a job out in Colorado. I mean, these guys, Josh Turbo's finishing up his class work. They were just a great group, and you got really close with them. You built those bonds, those personal relationships with them, but they were also okay to swing at you a little bit during some hand fighting sessions. But these guys, they meant a lot to it, not only the program, but the way they conducted themselves, the way they conducted themselves in on the campus, the way they interacted with our administration. That's a tough group to replace. That's a really tough group to replace, and just the men they are, just the men they became, and seeing them, they all had adversity. Marcus Orlandoni's going to medical school. These guys, they went through a lot of adversity, and they were not very, what I say, very good. They weren't this high profile class coming in. I just knew we had some great young men that had potential. They loved to wrestle. That was the best part. And then they just kind of really bonded and took off and had some success. And once again, they went through a lot of adversity, some good times and bad times together. But man, what a group! We're definitely going to miss them. You obviously still keep in touch with them, and some of them are still in the area. So that's going to be really hard to replace them.
You talk about being really hard to replace them, and you also spoke a little while ago about how you guys had a phenomenal Pete Wilson with a lot of your backups. And, you know, following NCAA Division III wrestling, I would say if you guys didn't have the best backups in the country, you're fighting for number one. And I'll say why real quick. Let's just talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Talon Shoot at 141 pounds was a backup last year, finished third at Pete Wilson, was a WIAC champion, and he nearly majored NCAA Division III finalist Sean Conway of Chicago. And then I am going to butcher this name, so please forgive me. Sadiq El Habadai.
Alu Dhabi, Sadiq Alu
I,
Dhabi.
I was fairly
You say
close.
Sadiq. Sadiq, we'll get you.
Okay. He was seventh at Pete Wilson. And then we also had Casey Gish at
Yep.
197. He won Pete Wilson 2 years ago. And then Gabe Carter, the backup to Mike Douglas, was also seventh at Pete Wilson. So when you said you have a good group of backups, we're talking guys that are going to immediately step in and place at regionals, qualify and hopefully go for All-American status. Can you talk a little bit about how the University of Wisconsin lacrosse has done such a great job in this area? And the reason why I bring it up is because there are some schools where there's a kid that's a really good wrestler and he's like, oh, I got to be a backup. No way. I'm transferring out. I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to be the varsity starter. At University of Wisconsin lacrosse, these kids stick around, do their time as a backup, and then end up doing great junior, senior year.
Yeah, that's a great question. And you start listing those names, I was like, it just gets me excited because they're going to get their opportunity. And I think this day and age and this society that we live in, and it's like instant gratification. There's no like, hey, we gotta it's I'm a farmer from Iowa, the old school Iowa farm boys. I told you earlier before we got on the interview is like you gotta plant, you gotta cultivate, and then you get to harvest. And so these guys, we've had to plant. It might take years and years and years to get to that point where you get to actually harvest something. But these guys have done a really good job, and I think we've had very few guys ever transfer out. Where they've transferred out for good reasons. And I was thinking, I was trying to look before we did this interview. I think maybe only four guys have left our program to go somewhere else, and we've encouraged them and helped them. If they're not happy here, they don't feel like they can make it. We want to help them go somewhere else. But I think the biggest thing that we've done is we've had examples of guys not make the lineup right away and then go on and have an amazing career once they did get on. We give an example like Noah Leisgang. Noah Leisgang was fourth string and his freshman year, he's third string his sophomore year, and all of a sudden he figured it out through some mentoring, some coaching from all of us, and he gets third in the country that year, his junior year, and then he gets second as a senior. So examples, Marcus Orlandoni doesn't even qualify for our conference tournament. We get to take top two guys at two conference. He doesn't make it as a sophomore. Junior year, he qualifies for the national tournament. Senior year, he wins the national title. So what that means, excuse me, is that we really try to develop our guys and get these guys like, hey, the end product, you could go somewhere else, get in the lineup sooner, and maybe not have as great a career, or come here, train with some really good guys and earn that spot. And then once you do get in the lineup, man, there's no reason why you shouldn't be, on the podium. But I think if you look at the top programs at whatever division you want to look at, from NAIA to Division One, you got to have some depth. We have injuries, we have things that happen to guys. And we have some depth finally at UWL like we haven't had. Maybe probably the last 5, 6 years, we've really gotten some depth to give guys opportunities, like you mentioned, some of those accolades that Tyler Dormanen, Casey Gish, Talon Schutte, Tate Flaggy. Tate Flaggy beat the defending national champ from TCNJ this year at 65 for us. And, Tanner Gerber's kind of the leader of that whole crew, that motley crew, is an All-American that came in and got third as a sophomore, and Quinn Wolbert at 25, Wyatt Magolski at 33, and then you got Eddie Symes, national qualifier at 74, Sadiq Al-Dabi in there in the mix, and then Gabe Carter. I mean, you got guys, and there's other guys too that I feel like are going to get their shot to step up. And the best part, I think, what we do, and I can never speak for any other program, so I can only talk about what we do, that we spend time and build relationships with our guys. We work with every guy, whether you're the starter or not. You're going to get an opportunity to get in there and wrestle. You're going to get an opportunity to perform. And we really like seeing that and getting those guys those chances to be at a good tournament like Pete Wilson or our conference tournament. We took guys to a bunch of other tournaments that, hey, they get that opportunity. Then they like, hey, I can do this. And they're wrestling some pretty dang tough guys. And I'll give you a quick story that we had 2024, we had 4 guys in the NCAA finals. And in the semifinals, some of our guys were kind of in the back room warming up, and they're looking around. They're like, shoot, I wrestle better guys in the room daily than what I'm going to see in the quarterfinals or finals. And I know that sounds a little arrogant, but that's the mentality those guys had, that they were training with better guys in the room than what they were going to see. So they were very calm, relaxed, and ended up getting 4 in the finals. And, then the flip side, we only won 3 or one of those matches. We got to win all 4 of those. So always room for improvement.
I'm going to switch gears on you here for just a second, Coach. When you were in college, you were under legendary Northern Iowa coach Don Briggs, and then later
Yep.
on, when you started coaching, you were alongside NCAA Division III legend Jim Miller at Wartburg. What did you learn from these two outstanding coaches that you apply to your own coaching?
We don't have near enough time to go through all that. But I'll give you a short version of it. 2 totally different men, 2 totally different guys that I learned so many things from. Of how everything I do has been begged, borrowed, and stolen from somebody else. This is very few things I've ever created on my own, but I've really kind of molded it into what I want to do and how I want to represent UWL and how I want to represent myself. Coach Briggs was so laid back and so easy to talk to and ask questions, and he just kind of had a different vision on things. And then you got Coach Miller, who, like you said, legendary. I mean, I am the coach today that I am because of him and the things he did and shared with me and showed me and mentored me, and still does. I still reach out to him all the time and ask questions, and he's been amazing, not only just for me as a coach, but as a friend. But I tell you what, the guy can still motivate you and make you want to work out and do little things. But he is, the stuff he does, how he treated his athletes, how he treated the the custodial staff, how he treated the secretary, how he treated people on campus, alums, everything that he did. It's way different here at UWL, but the general ideas and the caring for people and how he treated you, how he made you feel, was second to none. And he still makes you feel that way. So, man, that's a whole nother podcast. Those 2 are so different. Then you throw Joel Greenlee as assistant coach, who's the head coach at Ohio. You throw him in there. Tim Krieger, who's a multiple-time national champ at Iowa State, or Chris Bull. I mean, the list goes on of guys I had influence me and things that I do now still as a coach.
And speaking of having a great coaching staff, you have one there at the Wisconsin Lacrosse. Let's talk a little bit about Phil Whitesit, who is
Yep.
your strength and conditioning coach as well as your mental skills coach. I would like you to talk about 2 things here with Coach Whitesit. One of Whitesit, sorry. Uh, Talk about what is mental skills. I'd like to know a little bit more about that because that's not something I come across very often. And he's also the originally a track and field coach as
Yep.
well. And I'm curious to know if he's helped any with conditioning there at all, with the cardiovascular conditioning at all. So those are my 2 questions about him.
Yeah, I think, yeah, with Phil, Coach Phil is awesome. And so we could teach X's and O's all day long and outside step high crotches all day long, but if they don't think they can win and they don't believe in themselves on the mental side, you're just wasting your time. And so all coaches talk about, oh, we need to spend more time on mental training, and they hire all these outside people, and which is great, to each their own. But when we have in-house Coach Phil that comes in and works with our guys, and not only on the strength side, the conditioning side, but really making that well-rounded student athlete that they get that opportunity. You're not going to see that at hardly any Division III schools. So it's more or less a Division I model that we have this resource available to our guys that only helps us. And so Phil meets with our guys. Phil talks with our guys. He's one-on-one. He comes to practices. He does our strength conditioning part. The easy part to answer for you, you asked if they does any conditioning. We're not a running team. We don't condition. We wrestle and we airdyne and we wrestle. We're not going to do a lot of runs. And so Phil's a huge influencer in that route, but he does an amazing job with our guys. And what do I mean by amazing is that he builds relationships with them. He works with anybody that wants help with it. And our successful guys, Ben Kovchinsky, Tyler Gable, Sam Lorenz, all these guys worked with him. And our younger guys see that and like, okay, maybe I need to break down that barrier a little bit and ask for some help. And so, like you asked, like what he does with them, it's more the communication part and giving them skills. And everybody says, hey, you need to be a leader. Or, hey, you need to get mentally tough. Well, how do I do that? And so, man, I wish I would have had Phil back in the day. He'd been awesome for me. I could have used that. But a lot of things that he uses or he talks to our guys about, we then bring it up and mention it and keep bringing it up with our guys, whether that's all summer, preseason, during season, after season. And you just see this really community working together to help these guys become the best student athletes they can be. And I didn't say win. I said just be the best they can possibly be in wrestling and school and as a young man. Man, if we do that, then we did our job.
I tell you, one of the things you're going to have to do after this interview is go up to each one of your wrestlers and apologize to them for how much I've been butchering these guys' last names.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, it's Phil Whitsitt, so that's all right. We're all
Sorry
good.
about
Just
that.
Coach Phil. We're all right.
Yeah,
We're all
Coach
right. Don't
Phil,
worry
right?
about it.
I noticed that today. I'm like, holy cow!
Don't worry.
I have yet to
It's
pronounce
all good.
anybody's name right.
Hey, man, it's
So
all good.
I also want to ask you real quick. You guys also on your coaching staff have Zach Cook, which I think
Yep.
is a name I'm actually pronouncing
You got
correct
that
for
one right.
once. All right. He has experience coaching some very successful women's programs. He was at North Central for a while. I'm curious to know any movement to get women's wrestling at lacrosse.
Yeah, there's movement. And I guess Zach, went, that was part of the job title. He was here at UWL and left and got a full-time job with Coach Joe Norton at North Central, but then was the men's coach. He did some women's, but then went Joe was the women's coach and Zach was the men's coach his last couple of years, but does have that experience and did a really good job. I mean, if we did get women's wrestling, he's not going to be any part of that. We're both just on the men's side. We would hire a women's coach and women's assistant. There's no way we're going to do both of those. I think, that's not going to be successful for us. We're going to make sure that we have a full staff for the women's side of it, just like they did for track and field, just like they do for women's basketball or women's softball. We're going to have a separate coaching staff. But Zach does have that experience with that, but just does an amazing job with our guys. I mentioned him earlier, along with all of our other assistant coaches. But there is movement on it. It's been talked about. I don't know where we go with it right now. I mean, obviously, it's a hot topic, has been for a while, and having that opportunity to have women's wrestling here. I know our administration talked about it, and our new chancellor actually talked about it as well. So, man, we'll have to do another podcast some other time, and hopefully, I got some more updates for you.
Awesome. Well, Coach Malecek, my last question for you today is I want you to talk about the Pledge for Pins. What
Yeah.
is it, and how do your fans become a part of it?
Yeah, each year we've done that. And we kind of, like I said, didn't have many new ideas myself, but this was one that we borrowed from some other schools that done that and gotten that opportunity to raise a little money for our program. That you get a chance to donate and say, hey, I just want to go $100 flat and just donate $100 to the program, or like, hey, I want to keep track of the team. It's a way for the fans and family, everybody alum to stay in touch with the program. we had 150 some pins and you give $1 per pin, you're going to pay $150. Then our guys got motivated to get more pins, and they're kind of doing one of these numbers after they got a pin. They're like, yes, or doing one of these. And it wasn't an insult to the person they just pinned or the other team. It was just like they're getting our guys fired up, like, hey, we just raised a little bit more money and at each pin that we got. So, it's an opportunity. We put all that out on our social media. So you can always check it out on our social media. We'll start that up this fall and get that opportunity to do that. It's just a cool way to follow along with our team and follow along with our program and get a chance to raise a little money for our program as well.
I love that. I wish more schools would do that kind of stuff. Well, Coach Malecek, I want to thank you for being a part of JT1 Wrestle today. We really enjoyed having you on. We also want to wish you the absolute best of success in 2025, 2026.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thanks to all you do for the great sport of wrestling.